Be careful with this, Jenny instructed. Be careful with that. At one point, she grabbed a bandbox from the driver and carried it to the porch of the hotel herself, muttering under her breath. Hank could hardly take his eyes off her. That Jenny woman was something, all right. Bold, brash, and as subtle as a grizzly with a sore backside. Even the wind knew not to mess with her, the air as still as an old battlefield. She turned to scold one of her charges, who had done nothing but gripe since disembarking. "Hush up, Mary Lou. You haven't stopped complaining since we left Haswell. How do you expect me to find you a husband when you never stop talking?" Hank scratched his whiskered chin and inched his way down the warped wooden steps to make sure he'd heard right. Did she say husband? The girl called Mary Lou pushed out her lips in a childish pout, blew a wisp of blonde hair away from her face, and fanned herself furiously. "You think you're going to find me a husband in this awful town?" She looked around with obvious distaste. "Absolutely." Jenny lifted her chin, her eyes bright with determination. "By the time I'm finished with this town, both of you will have kind and loving husbands." Hank blinked. Both? As the full implication of what the Jenny woman said took hold, his eyes nearly popped out of his head. It was no secret that, from the day they were born, womenfolk devoted themselves to landing husbands. But never had he heard it stated so boldly. And when did the female population start searching for husbands in packs? That's when it hit him like a ton of spit. Only one conclusion could be drawn from such a flagrant female presence. The town was under siege. Jenny gave her younger sisters a warning look. She was in no mood for their complaints. She was hot and tired, and every bone in her body ached from the journey. Traveling to Rocky Creek had been a nightmare. The stagecoach had broken down not once, but twice. The driver blamed Jenny's unprecedented amount of baggage for their troubles, but she knew better. It was his reckless driving that caused the axle to break and the wheel to fall off. If only she'd used a little more tact in saying so. Maybe then they wouldn't have had to sit on the side of the road for 3 days, waiting for another stage while he pouted. Mary Lou heaved an unladylike sigh. "This has got to be the sorriest-looking town I've ever set eyes on." "Watch what you say," Jenny scolded. "Any man hearing you carry on so is likely to take off in the other direction." She hiked up her skirts just above her ankles. "And Brenda, for goodness sake, what are you eating now?" Brenda was almost twice as wide as Jenny. "Nothing. You laced up my corset so tight I can't eat. I can't even breathe. You didn't lace up Mary Lou's corset this tight." Mary Lou gave her head a jaunty toss. "That's because I come by my figure naturally." "You don't have to act so superior," Brenda said, straightening her shawl and scowling at Mary Lou. "Especially since you are wearing—" "Oh, hush up," Mary Lou said irritably. Feeling sorry for Brenda, Jenny gave her youngest sister's cheek a loving pat. Brenda loved to eat, and it showed, no matter how tightly Jenny laced her corset. Poor Brenda had been so nervous about making this trip and the prospect of landing a husband. She had practically eaten non-stop during the planning stages, and now had a double chin to show for it. "Stand proud, my dear sister. You are blessed with a loving, generous nature and a sweet disposition," Jenny said. "What good is that?" Brenda patted the dark sausage curls that bounced beneath her hat. "Men don't care a fiddle about dispositions." "Oh, they'll care. I'll make sure that they do," Jenny said with a determined